Good morning, UPB from OptionMillionaires.com. Monday, December 16th, it is the start of the last full week before the Christmas holiday. That'll be next week. Look at the futures last night, rolling over, and we had this big drop, and then a recovery. It's almost like it never happened. Oh, you didn't see that. Just look away, and we're now at the highs here before the market. The market's going to open in about 45 minutes. We're just about at session highs off the sell-off here. This is just an aberration. Just take an eraser. Just erase that. Futures stocks aren't supposed to go down in this centrally planned marketplace. Let's look at a chart perspective, though. When we did see this fall, I thought it was a continuation of this head and shoulders pattern. We broke through it overnight, essentially. The S&P 500 was trading at that time, which it wasn't. The futures were. We would have dropped down to about this 176 level, and we would have breached this neckline. As it stands now, we're up here, 179. So we're bouncing a little bit. That does not completely negate this topping pattern. And again, the reason I think we're topping here, and we did pull back. I talked about this last week before the week started, that we would see a pullback, and we had that big, nice red candle, down 1.7% for the week last week. Oh no, it's going to be a Scrooge Christmas for every now. And so you can see the market is the 5-year chart. But let me just pull into a 1-year chart. You can see these yellow circles mark a bottom. And each of the bottoms since the lows really have had some sort of name attached to them. But let's just look for all intents and purposes at what they've done. They're open V bottoms or W bottoms. But in this case, this looks like a W top or a head and shoulders pattern. So where we've had these sharp sell-offs that have been met with buying, we're kind of topping out, meaning we hit a higher high, and a lower high. We couldn't break this high here, and essentially looks like we're going to head lower, but the start of it is not happening right now. We tried overnight. So let's look at some charts, really. We had Facebook up at the end of last week, and you can see the rally. It had a head and shoulders type pattern. Initially broke through the neckline, and now rallying up just about to the all-time highs here. We're at 53.40 something like that pre-market. Twitter, 2 analysts came out today downgrading the stock. Was up 6%. Has had a nice run since December when it was down at about $40 since December started. It is now up almost 50%. 50% in less than a month. It's a penny stock. Oh no, it's not. It's Twitter, $59 a share. That's how it's trading this marketplace. Again, when the Federal Reserve and all the central banks out there forcing people into risky assets, where are they going to go? Everyone's going to like, Twitter doesn't. Well, you know what? Where are you going to put your money? You're going to put it in a savings account? ECB's talking about negative savings rates to force people into risky assets. So we're already at all-time highs. It's like, let's push one more step towards that cliff before we collapse. We have Twitter. I think Nike has earnings later this week. You see Nike pull off its high. This might be a spot to get in for a move back over 80. We had a nice 3-day drop at the end of last week. So to me, looks like Nike, and look at the trend here, folks. The same thing we've seen with all the stocks in this market. Just, heading higher, ho-hum, ho-hum. And this is a beautiful cup and handle pattern. Broke out to the upside. See, we did. We were down a little bit. Crazy. See, try and keep some sort of semblance of a marketplace. A marketplace where things actually get bought and sold. So Nike was sold. That's got to be some sort of error. Is something wrong with my chart here? Pretty soon they're going to have to start eliminating red candles on charts because it's just not allowed. So we have Nike. Let's go to some other charts that I'm looking at. Of course, TLT is going to be hotly talked about, or at least the bond market is. People continue to think that bonds are not the place to be. You don't want to be buying them, you want to be selling them, which would imply higher interest rates. And if you look at this chart, it's a beautiful topping pattern. I bring this up, I don't know, once, twice a week. So anyway, I'm not trading for TLT for downside just yet. Bonds were actually up when we got that overnight spike lower, but you can definitely see it rolling over here, and TLT ultimately is going to head down to the 77 level. Gold was beaten down overnight, and you can see this is just, this looks like a chart that's going to head back down to about $80. So gold's something I'd want to stay away from unless you're going to trade it for downside. How about FCX? Talked about this one. This was a text alert. I did the $35 puts at 22 cents. They went to about 80 cents late last week. And you can see it's topping. You can draw a trend line here. If I had my tools, let me see if I can do it. You draw a trend line down. There you go. Beautiful. We're rolling over, and it looks like the mid to higher 20s is where we'll stop. And once we break this line here, my goodness, FCX is going to head back to a $10 stock. I think Goldman Sachs came out last week talking negatively about it, or at least removing it from its buy list and putting it as a hold, something like that. How about Netflix? Netflix, after hitting its all-time high on this candle up here, and see it reversed. I think that was the day after its most recent earnings report. See, and it pulled all the way back to about the 320 range. And again, everyone was like, oh, but you just looked at, if you just take a line and you just draw it, I mean, it's kind of like it's on autopilot. It doesn't get too high and doesn't get too low. There's an accumulation. And so Netflix looks like to be a $400 stock. $400! But you can see the run-up it's had since its spike up at the start of 2013. Finally, well, let's do Amazon real quick. Amazon, same kind of thing. They were seeing breaking out to all-time highs, possibly before the end of the year. Okay, look at this move up we've had, and I wish I could set my chart up a little better, but it's not happening. So let's look at Amazon's short-term chart as well. And you can see the stock hit all-time highs recently, tried to crack that $400 level. I think it was an analyst came out last week, moved the target up to about $455. What's another 50 bucks? And then finally, let's look at Tesla, because I've been talking about Tesla a lot. I thought there was a $200 stock in the middle of the year. We started to get up there, and then we stopped. Oh no, we pulled back, and everybody, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, or is it Bank of America, talking negatively about it and continue to reiterate their bearish target for it. I, on the other hand, was talking about a move back up to 135, and then we got to that price. Let's go to the 60-day chart. There we go. We got to that price, broke it, pulled back as I thought we would. If you look at the chart at optionmillionaires.com, I talked about this, and I actually annotated a chart where I saw it rallying. So I was going to pull back to about the 135, 137 range, and then head to 160. And that's the trajectory we're at right now. I think Tesla Motors could easily hit 160 this week. We'll see what happens. Oh, finally, we'll do the other Elon Musk trade, Solar City, which is still above the $50 level. $40 is long-term support. That's where it gapped up from. And this could be another stock to look out for this week to a move over 60 bucks. They had some news out this morning. They opened some sort of retail center in New Jersey. So anyway, all right, UPB here from optionmillionaires.com. I'll see you in the chat room if I initiate any trades. Last week, I did win for a big quick flip at 61 cents. Those ultimately went to $2. FCX, the trade I just told you about, was private Twitter. I got in at 22 cents. I got out at 37 cents to went to 80 cents. All right, hopefully we get some trades like that again this week. Everyone have a great trading week. I'll see you in the chat room. And if you've taken the week off, have a happy holiday. Last full week before Christmas. Goodbye.